So, hello and welcome to the 15th episode of the Living the Dream podcast, a podcast for real estate agents that discusses strategies on how to grow your business to its maximum potential, while at the same time making sure that you're in control of your career and have the time to live a balanced life. So, I'm Linas, Kilius, broker and managing partner of Centurion Heritage Group. With me, as always, is the co-host of the podcast, broker, partner, and general manager of Century 21 Heritage Group, Eryn Richardson. Eryn, how's it going?
Good, Linus. How are you?
Can't complain. We're back to episode 2 from our long break. So you feel like you shook off some of the rust after the last episode?
Yeah, it's been a while. So the rust is gone. We're in a stall in the market, and we've got a great guest today. So I'm super excited.
So speaking of that, on the show, we've got our guest, Tammy Rasmussen. She's a top producing
Hello.
Centurion agent at our brokerage with 10 years of experience in the business. And Tammy, well, welcome to the show first off.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm not sure if you knew this. We talked about you last episode. And that's one of the big reasons we wanted to have you on, because Eryn did a coaching session with you and as well as a couple other agents, which we'll get into in a bit. But Eryn talks very, very highly about your work ethic. And we were like, you know what? We need to have Tammy on the show.
Well, thank you. I sometimes feel it's never enough, though, but I appreciate you thinking I do work hard, Eryn.
I'm always super impressed, Tammy, because when I'm here early in the office, sometimes when I come in, you're already here. There are times that I'm here that you pop your head in, and we're usually the first people at the office in the morning. And it does impress me because, the life of a real estate agent is very flexible. And one of the things that you do really well is you keep to that schedule and you work hard every single day during the week. And we'll talk about that living the dream of balancing life, work, and you do a good job of that. So I'm always impressed.
So Tammy, why don't we start by getting a bit of your background? Like, I don't even know this story either. Like, how did you get into real estate? How did your journey begin here?
Well, years and years ago when I was very young, in my early 20s, I did have a business back then. And then we had some things happen and ended up closing the business. But then I tried a whole bunch of different things. I wore many different hats, and I discovered I can't work for anyone else. Eventually, something happened, right? They asked me to do things that maybe I don't agree with, that don't make sense to me, and I try to be the kind of person that, does things that make sense. So I went into real estate, 10 years ago, and yeah.
And how did you make the decision for real estate specifically too? Like how did that conversation go? Or who was the person who convinced you to do that, take that route?
Well, I actually was originally licensed back in 1998, let's say, for a couple years. And that was back when we had MLS books and all that too. So it was really a different experience being a real estate agent. So I got out of it then. So as I said, I realized I need to work for myself. It's very hard working for other people for me. And then I got back in. So I convinced myself that there was no other option.
And I mean, you hit the floor running. You're a top producing agent, like I mentioned at the top of the show. And I was incredibly impressed when I was watching your public training sessions with Eryn on just the sheer volume of phone calls that you make. And like just the things that you do on a weekly basis to make sure that you are successful. Before we get into all that, Eryn, did you want to talk a little bit about the complete agent training sessions? Just since we're talking about them here.
Well, every year for at least the last 5, we've been doing a coaching session with our agents, and it usually lasts about 3 to 6 months, depending on the type of session that we're hosting. This year, we decided to do something a little different. Instead of just bringing up, the foundations of the business and running it into the prospecting and having your buyer presentation, listing presentation, all that sort of great stuff to put together, what it is to be a great agent. We decided to live the life of 3 agents for 6 months and look into their lives. And I want to, thank Tammy because she opened up her life to us over 6 months and to all the agents that participated. And it really gave us a different insight as to every single, and we did it every other week, right? So every time we met, we looked at the past 2 weeks in terms of what Tammy and the other 2 agents were doing in their business and implementing that when we focused on certain things over those 2 weeks so that we could get certain things accomplished as we progressed. The 3 agents that were there, Tammy was one of them. She was our top end agent that was a Centurion the year before. We had a mid-level agent that was a Silver Award winner and a Master of Silver, right? And then a brand new agent. So again, thank you, Tammy, because that was it's tough to share ideas, right? And sometimes as real estate agents, we think that things are proprietary and we don't want to share. But the culture of our company and the culture that you lead as well, Tammy, is you're always helping agents in the office. So tell me, why are you not afraid of sharing amongst others that could be competing against you?
I just think there's enough business to go around is the big thing. And then, I could share my ideas, but they'll end up tweaking it in some way or, going, well, they're not willing to do that and end up not doing it or whatnot. Or, like there's so many different ways to skin a cat. So I'm not overly worried about that.
And not going into we called it the complete agent, because we wanted to go from, right from the foundations of what you should have in place for every business plan that a real estate agent should have, all the way up to, all the different, whether it be a buyer presentation, a listing presentation, the other sources of income. And everyone has a different business plan. So we looked at different things that you did in your business. But how did you find going through those 6 months? Was it useful? Was it helpful? Did you, identify anything that maybe you put in place or changed in your business style?
I thought it was great. Kept me on track, of course. I always feel like I'm never doing enough anyways. So, and I do, even without the complete agent, record my numbers and know where I'm at, because I found, like, when I started my business in real estate, I did do the cold calling because that was the only thing I could control every day. I couldn't control how many leads I had or how many appointments I went on. So I broke it down to the most simplest thing, and that was I can control how many people I talk to. That's all I can control. So with the complete agent, like, you were great. You led us through a little path and just, having to re-look at my business and always tweaking it. I'm always trying to improve. I just think that's essential. And especially in this day and age with the technology that's coming down the pipeline, there's so many opportunities to implement it and make our businesses easier.
When I started and I decided to take 3 different agents at different levels of production, I didn't realize it would break down to not only different areas of production, but different personality styles, different business plans. And it really kind of broke down. And the one thing I was so happy with was because our company and what we've always focused on from a foundational standpoint, and rightly so, is making sure that your sphere of influence, the people that already know you, the people you're going to get business from, as long as you continue touching base and building those relationships. So we always focus on that. But you brought in a different aspect of what you do every single day to not just focus on sphere of influence, which I ended up finding out you do, right? It's not just that you prospect every day, but you look at every opportunity as a prospect. And so you brought that different element of, how you follow up. And you got to, I'm not going to take the thunder away because I think this is really, really great what you do. Tell me 5 years ago what you did to prospect, and then what you're still doing today with stuff that you did 5 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I could be a terrible agent, and not so good with scripts and stuff, but it is very hard to get someone that wants to do something right now, whether you're door knocking or cold calling or Facebook leads or anything. No, there's very few, or as I said, I'm not that good. And I can't convert anyone right now, but over the long haul, like, I will keep reaching out to them. I talk to them, not necessarily about real estate. I just, create a relationship with them. So people that I've talked to 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago, eventually call me when it's time to do something in real estate because I've just been around. and so I mix the professional with the personal friendship type of thing.
I really think that
It,
you're
it,
understating the follow-up here. So you're saying that
oh,
after 5 years, you phone somebody, you call them out of the blue,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And what were you using to call them? I mean, what are some of the, were you using scripts, dialogues, any technology, any CRM system 5 years ago?
So well, so there was let's say the difference happened for me in 2020. But prior to that, I was just using Mojo. I didn't have CRMs. I did try them, but I just never accessed them. So I just used Mojo, and I kept my dialing list in there. When I would get someone that would kind of raise their hand and uh, that said they might be thinking of moving. They say they're going to move next year. It usually ends up being 5 years or 7 years. It's a long haul. I would send them a little note card with my business cards in it, and I'd put I'd have 2 business cards. I'd throw in it, one with a magnet behind, like a magnetized business card, and a regular one. And I would have many people, when I called them, they'd say, "Oh yeah, your business card's on my fridge," So I would send them that note card, and then I'd follow up like 3 or 4 times a year. And even if it was just a voice message, I would leave, hey, I was just calling to check up with you, see how you're doing, see, like just kind of like a friend. I didn't really care so much if they didn't call me back. I just wanted them to know that I had reached out to talk to them.
And maybe you can
Sorry.
give some insight. So Mojo Dialer is what you were speaking
Yeah.
about. So Mojo Dialer, what is that?
It's a dialing system. So there, you put numbers into it and it does the dialing for you. So I think a lot of people, if they do dial, you get distracted by your phone, you get distracted by many other things. But with Mojo, it runs through the whole list, whatever one you put in there. So you can do it. You can go up to 3 lines dialing at once. So in the office I was in at the time, I was the first one that used Mojo.
Mhm.
I was taking a training class, and people were standing up and saying, like, first of all, I went to this thing, and I was going to go out door knocking, and then the weather would be bad, and then this, and then no one was home, and all this stuff. And I thought, well, that's crazy. I need to be a little more efficient than that. And people were standing up in that seminar and saying what they use, Mojo, and I'm like, well, what the heck is Mojo? So I Googled it, found out it was a dialer. So I did one number at a time for probably about 3 months because I was terrified. It took me like 3 days to get on the phone before I actually started doing it. And then once I started dialing, and then about the 3 months, I went to threw in a second dial, like a second line. And then like 3 days later, I went to the third because I realized it wasn't that big, scary beast that I thought it was. And so it just dials at this, it's like it dials all at once, and then when someone picks up, it puts the other ones on pause, it stops pausing. It's like a little conductor is playing music. And so, but with doing that, so I would do it I'd start at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. I'd get on the phone, and then I'd go till 11, 12, 1 or 2, like it depend what I had going on that day. If, there's some days where there's something in the air and everybody's friendly and you get lots of leads. So I just would keep working that until I just couldn't talk anymore. And then if it was, if I was busy, then it'd be 2 hours or whatever. And I did that because it's very hard in real estate to know that you're pushing that ball forward, that you're making progress. And so my mind would start going nuts on me. And I think, I'm not working, I'm not doing anything, I have no money coming in. And so by knowing that every day I got on the phones, I could then sleep at night.
Yeah.
Because I'm making the money. I just haven't seen the paycheck yet, is what I'd always say.
So you're prospecting, but and it's hard enough, right, to get that nerve up to make a phone call to a cold call.
Yeah.
But even now with agents, they're saying, I can't even cold call because of all the regulations, all the restrictions in terms of do not call list. How do you overcome the do not call list now? Is the, and I'm sort of strategically bringing this up because I know, speaking about calling, you nowadays you have to be careful. You have to be careful that you're calling people that are not on the do not call. So what are you doing today to stay compliant with that?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not cold calling.
Mhm.
I used to. I'm door knocking now.
Right.
So You can knock on people's doors, and they're friendlier. And I like it because I'm outside and I get to learn about the neighborhood when I'm there. I can speak to them intelligently about things. So it's easier for me to go door knocking now, whereas before I didn't like it. But I didn't like it because I felt I couldn't get as many people in an hour or 2 hours or 4 hours that I can on the doors. So I haven't cold called in a while, but I do have a database of about 1,000 people.
And you're aware of telelisting and do not call list and being compliant with that.
Yeah.
So you can still cold call. It's just.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We just like to make sure everybody knows that is still available, right? It's still available with the telelisting service, and we pay for those do not call list services so that we can still be compliant to do that. So that's still available. Yeah. But I love how you segued it into door knocking, because let's be honest, a person's a person. It doesn't matter whether you call them or go face to face or meet them at a networking event or anything to put yourself in front of people as a prospect. Right. The key is the follow up. So talk about follow up. How many times would you follow up with somebody before they transact?
Oh my gosh, there's no right answer for that. Like, I have been lucky a couple of times and it's really quick, but most time it's 2, 3, 5 years, and it's 3 or 4 times a year. Or sometimes if they keep I wouldn't say, like, people sometimes say yes, it's going to happen in 3 months, but life gets in the way, and then you end up keep following up, and so I've never, because I have kind of switched systems and stuff like that. I don't know on some of them how many times, but some of them tons of time.
I think that's what makes a big difference between just a good agent and a great agent is that persistence on the follow up. I know so many who get discouraged, right? And it sounds like you don't. It's almost something that you maybe are immune to a certain degree, right? You understand that, this person I talked to, I met today, that may be business in 8 years from now, and like you're okay with that, right?
Yeah.
And you understand that there is that time to nurture, and just because they're not quite ready now, like you still continue with nurturing that relationship.
And and I think, like, when I call them too, I actually try and talk them out of selling their home. And I'm speaking to a lot, like, because I call or I door knock during the day, Monday to Friday. I'm usually done by 5, or I'm certainly done prospecting by 5, like more like 2. I may work longer just doing paperwork and stuff, but there's a lot of older people, and they're transitioning out of their homes. And they're going, into retirement homes or different things, or they need bungalows or whatever, and there's no bungalows. And so I talk them, like, I say, well, stay in your house as long as you can. There's chair lifts to take you up the stairs. There's people to cut your grass and, mow your lawn and shovel your snow. So I do try and talk them out. So when they pick up the phone, because I'm not always trying to sell them on what's in it for me, right? It's more of like, hey, just how you doing? Your daughter was getting married, 2 months ago. How was the wedding? And I take great notes. My notes are spectacular with my people, so I can reference things back. And once I read my notes, I remember having the conversation, but I don't otherwise because there's so much inside my head. So I do take great notes.
Amazing.
And when you knock on that door and they open for the first time, one thing I know that a lot of agents struggle with is just that initial icebreaker and like how to break down that barrier of like, hey, they're here to sell me something, right?
Yeah.
Like what's your strategy for doing that? Like getting past that.
If I can confess a dirty little secret of mine.
Uh-oh.
Is I hate when people come to my door. And the reason is, so I always put myself in someone else's, but someone comes to my door and they're asking me how I'm doing and all this stuff. And I'm like, you don't care. And it's not mean, but you don't care. You don't know me. You don't care. So I just want them to get to business. So that's what I do when I knock on the door. I knock on the door and I go immediately, I introduce myself. So I say, hi, I'm Tammy Rasmussen. I'm a local real estate agent, or I work at Centurion 21. It depends what comes out of my mouth. But hi, I'm Tammy Rasmussen, a local real estate agent, just going around the area, seeing if you're thinking about selling your house. That's it.
Correct.
And they say yes, or they say no, or whatever. And then, like, if there's that little bit of space, then, I try and get them into a conversation. I do try and get my business done first. So I introduce who I am. My goal, though, is to get their information. So once I say who I am, I just say, hey, I go around the area. Since you're not thinking of selling, I have a great tool. Let you see what's going on in your neighborhood. You can see what people are listing their home for, what they're selling it for. What's a good email for you? I get their email, get their, your first name, is it, if it's in the email thing, sometimes, is it Ann? Oh, yeah, it's Ann. Okay, great. And a good phone number for you, Ann? Just in case, just in case I mess up your email. And then I talk about other things.
Yeah, that sounds like a very efficient way of going about it too. Like you strike me as the kind of person who does a lot more volume of door knocking than, say, your average agent as well, right? When you're going through a neighborhood.
I think I never do enough, but I do a lot more than a lot of people.
And you know what? Like I love hearing that. We had a seminar that we did once with like Brad Miller, and Eryn will remember this too. I'm not sure if you were there, Tammy. But he was talking about, like, he's the number one Centurion 21 team in the world, right? And one thing that resonated with a lot of the other agents that were there was the fact that he was saying, like, I don't think I do enough. I don't have everything in place. Everything's not perfect on my end. And everyone just assumes, like, seeing top producers, top agents, that they do have everything together. That they are, like, everything's optimized to, like, the top level. But I love hearing that you feel like there's still more that you can do and there's still more you can learn, right? Because it isn't just like you get to a certain level and you just stop. There's always the next place you can go to.
There's so much tweaking that goes on, right? Because, I mean, if you're open to learning and you talk to other agents and you see what's out there, you attend Realtor Quest and you see there's other things, and then you should always be implementing something.
Yeah.
So how did you, like, what are the big takeaways you had from the Complete Agent with Eryn? And hopefully you had some. I'm sure you did. Just to, like, boost up Erin's ego a little bit.
No, it was great. I'd be like, I gotta get my stuff done for what? Because I don't like looking like I haven't done my stuff either, right? So put that pressure on, and like, and it's been an interesting year so far with. There's a lot of agents there's a lot of less houses. Well, there's more houses on the market, but there's less of them selling. So, like, it was a great time of the year to do it, to put that through, so that, and the people that were attending it, hopefully it inspired them to, put a little bit more effort in, because it's, when it is a slower market, that's your time to just work hard, right? So, and then Eryn, like, brought in, like, what's your buyer presentation, your listing presentation, like all the things that people should have in place. So,
and one of the things I was going to say for you, Tammy, is that it's often a good indication for others to see why you're doing the production you're doing. And the fact is you didn't have to actually do a lot of the heavy lifting that some of the other agents had to do.
No, it was done
because it was already done, and those key components in the Complete Agent were completed for you already, and that's a good indication that when somebody has the complete, from start to finish business model already, the engine's already running, is that's why you're successful. So I always looked at when we had our conversation. Well, what can we help Tammy with? What are the things that Tammy could do differently in her business? And let's bring up living the dream for a second. And this is the reason why we do this podcast. Is one of the things in your business plan was you wanted to live a different. I wouldn't say different. It is different than most real estate agents, but you wanted a Monday to Friday job in real estate, which a lot of agents just say doesn't exist. That doesn't exist.
Yes, it does. 90% of the time it exists.
So, and you want to double your income. So how, and we had this conversation the other day, how are you going to, let's start off. Tell us a little bit about your business plan in terms of your work-life balance first.
So do you mean like, yes, I work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5-ish or 4-ish,
that's exactly
or 7-ish or something like that?
Tell me how you do it. You work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. You tend to, if possible, not work weekends. So you plan to not work weekends. How do you do that?
Because I do, again, to stop the drunk monkey saying I haven't worked yet this week. I do. That's why I'm here at 9 in the morning. I make my phone calls. Not every day is perfect by any means, but at least I try. Like the full intentions, I'm coming in to make the phone calls and touch base and all that. I do tasks. I know people that I really have to call every day, and then I fill the time with just filtering and seeing who's looking at certain things, different reports and all that stuff, and I reach out to them. But yeah, so I work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and I will take appointments on the weekends. I will deal with offers on the weekends. But I'm not out prospecting. I'm not doing open houses. Ilona does those, and she loves them, and she's so good with them. And I used to do them kicking. I used to talk people out of them, like clients, sellers. I would talk them out. They don't work. Don't use them. But now Ilona doesn't. Yeah, they're great, amazing. Yeah, have them.
I love the honesty, Tammy. That's the best. And you focus on what? Buying or selling?
Selling.
So you're a listing
Selling.
agent.
Yeah.
And your buying side, you've brought up Ilona, so you have a buying agent that works with.
Yeah. I
You
give
guys
her
are
the
like
buyers.
partners, almost like it's not like there's
Yeah, we are.
yeah. You partner in the business, and you decide, hey, listings are less time. Is that have you identified that the listings are easier for you? Because some people hate listings; they have to deal with commission, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Like I love listings because I can control my time for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, I do them often enough that I know everything I have to do, what's next and everything, so I'm not reinventing the wheel every time. Because the people I talk to, they're home during the day, so I'm listing all the stuff usually during the day. I just like them because I can control my time. I can take on more listings if that's the case. I've been lucky that everything sells pretty quick because I do get them priced well. Where with buyers, you're all over the map, right? They're working, and then because they're younger, so the people that I call or door knock are home during the hours that I want to work usually. So I can control that more. But with buyers, like sometimes you're showing them 100 houses, sometimes you're showing them 2. Listings, it's that one house, and you just treat the sellers like gold. And
you don't turn off your phone on the weekends.
No. So what I say to people, like, I don't return. Now that's a lie. Okay, let's say that if a Facebook lead comes in, because I do Facebook leads, I'm probably not calling them on the weekend. I'm not doing it. They comes at 9:00 at night. I'm not calling them. I know you're supposed to do it within 5 minutes. I'm not doing it. But with my clients or people that are in my database or whatever, I consider they're my clients eventually at some point. Sorry, Tressa, but yes, they're my clients at some point. So I say to them, my phone's on. If I'm not in a meeting or on the phone, I will answer it for you. And if not, then I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But I do turn my phone on silent at about 10:00 at night until I get up in the morning because, then we get all those notifications going off at midnight or 2 in the morning. And if I get woken up, I won't go back to sleep. So, but otherwise, I don't play games. I don't pretend I'm in a meeting, let them think that, I don't have time for them. No, I'm there. That's what you pay me for.
Yeah. So you service the listings, but from a buying and prospecting standpoint, I mean, there's even ways to turn off advertising that you do on the weekend so you don't get those ads going out on a Saturday if you're not going to answer the ads on the Saturday. So those are some really cool things. And what are one of the things you're going to focus on this year we had brought up is farming. You decided to, get into talk to us about why and some of the planning you're putting in place for that.
We want to own a neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's the next level. Now I have Ilona, and now we have, different steps and systems and all that stuff that we can do that, right? Like Rome wasn't built in a day. So I think everyone can't expect to be running a business with every cylinder firing, 2 months out of school. You just don't know. Like my listing presentation has probably changed 15, 20 times over the years. But I totally lost my thought.
Mm-hmm.
What was the question?
Talking about farming.
So you've decided.
Farming, yes.
Well, let me
Yeah,
ask
so
it in a different way too, because
sure.
one of the things that you wanted to leverage in terms of, and you can only leverage time and money in order to, get a return on something. So return on your time, return on
Yeah.
your spend, and farming is another opportunity as a different income source or a different pillar to fill the funnel. So you've identified an area that you guys want to farm. What are some of the things you're going to put in place in order to create that farm area?
Okay, so we've door knocked the area
Yeah.
a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And then look, because we've had some listings in there, so we've door knocked the area before the listing, like because I door knocked it 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Door knocked it, listing came up, then we invited not the whole area, but 300 houses to come for the open house that Ilona was doing on the weekend. Great turnout. And then we followed it up once we sold it with just the sold flyers. We didn't knock those, but we put them definitely where we invited the people and further out. And then we had another listing in the area, did the exact same thing again. And so we just have a lot of momentum in that area. We don't want to lose it. So we're going to follow it up with continually door knocking. So I have, like, Ilona and I have about 250 names in that farm area, like emails and phone numbers that get our reports, and that we can call. We don't have to knock on their door all the time, but we have about 250 names and emails. And then we're going to do like a newsletter flyer that's going to be, we're going to hand deliver it to the doors, even though Eryn thinks it's a waste of my time, but we get to know the neighborhood. We're in it. They see us doing it. We say hi to the neighbors when we're walking by, and yeah, they know us.
Let's talk about it. I always like our conversations, Tammy, because we definitely have discussions that have differences of opinions, and that's okay. That's where it comes up with the solutions, right? When two people have, if everybody's on the same page, the solutions aren't typically brought. But what we talked about was your time value of your of money, right? So what you pay yourself. Right. And we decided to look at what your goal for the year was in terms of income, divided it by 365 days by hours, and figure out exactly what it is you pay yourself. And obviously, you can pay somebody a lot less money in order to deliver a flyer. But what do you do when you're delivering flyers sometimes, or a lot of times?
Talking to people, knocking on the doors.
You said you'll knock on the door. And I said, okay, well, there's where it's valued. That's where you can't pay somebody. You can't pay somebody to have those conversations because they're not Tammy. Tammy's the one who's going to talk to that person at the front door and say, you know what, I can give you a home evaluation. How do you love the area? All that kind of great stuff. And then they're going to want to use you. So, and that's where it's invaluable, right? Your time is now worth that. But just delivering a flyer, you can do that for a lot less than the hundreds of dollars you pay yourself per hour.
One thing too, though, is that I always think of like that runs through my head is that, I know it's a waste of time. I know I can get the post office. They're going to be doing it in a year from now. I guarantee you they will be. But there has to be some joy in your business. And if I like going outside, because I don't do it on rainy days, I ain't doing it on rainy days, but it's a beautiful sunny day, I can still say I'm working, but I'm actually really enjoying what I'm doing. So I think there needs to be some of that mixed in with your business, right? Or you're not going to do it, or you're not going to do it well, or whatnot, right? I don't want to end up hating my job, my career. So I do put a little bit of that fun things that maybe, they don't make sense dollar-wise, yes. But you know what?
What are the things that you like the most? I'm curious now, because I always like to talk to agents to see what they enjoy to do, and if it's a successful business activity, I'm like, well, maybe do that more, because if it's something you enjoy doing, it's a little bit easier to get out of bed and do that every day. So like obviously like going out when it's nice out and door knocking, but like what else do you enjoy the job?
Well, they're like door knocking, definitely like door knocking. I don't particularly enjoy cold calling as much. It was a necessary thing that I was willing to do, but I do love following up with my people. Like, sometimes I shy away from calling them because I know it's a half-hour conversation or something, and I just feel like, oh my God, it's so much time. But I love talking to them, so it's that crazy thing. But it's those kind of things that door knocking. I want to go outside on a beautiful sunny day or whatnot. I want to go door knock. I want to go outside, get some exercise, go see people.
You really do build relationships with people that you've never met.
Yes.
Which is just, it puts a smile on my face. Like, you're living that prospecting journey the same way that we teach people to live the relationship building with people they know. And I didn't even think about that as possible, that your relationships are sphere of influence. They just haven't met you yet. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
She's talking about weddings and all this sort of stuff with these people that they've never met, but what a skill. And maybe it's just an innate ability. Like you said, you love it. You love the follow-up. So it's because you enjoy it. That's probably why you're so successful at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do enjoy it. Yeah.
Amazing.
I think people have really interesting stories. So I love listening to people talk.
And I think the genuineness of that too really comes through and makes it a lot easier to have those conversations with people when you're like are genuinely interested in what they have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So funnel in and funnel out. This is what we talked about in the Complete Agent. So funnel in is sources of building relationships and follow-up, right? Conversion to a deal, right? So that's your funnel that creates the deal. You make commission from the deal. You build those relationships for life. With the funnel after the deal's done, tell us about some of the things you do to make sure that those people, still give you business in terms of their own business, but also, sing your praises to others for referrals.
Still my weakest link. It's terrible. And I know somebody else, you've built your business, Eryn, on your sphere in that sense. That's my weakest link. So I do try and call them. I do have a lot of people that move very far away, so they don't get as many calls by any means. But past clients, they're getting birthday cards on their birthday. We just implemented now, like we just got a home anniversary card, so we'll be sending that out on their home anniversaries too. But and then the odd phone call, certainly not as many.
Tammy, one thing that I've learned though with your business over the last 6 months is that I actually think you beat yourself up on something that you do 80% better than most agents. I still think the things that you do, like the birthday cards and the identifying home anniversaries, and you're still touching base with those people, and you may not think as well as you could be doing it. And I think that that's, what you beat yourself up on. But I will say that after looking at what you do, I'm like, well, Tammy, you do actually do that. You are getting business from those people and you are still staying in contact. I would say most agents don't. And so pat yourself on the back, because I think you do a great job with that as well. And we can always improve. It's, to Linus's point, right? Speaking to some agents, sometimes it just makes us feel better at what we do in our businesses, that, wow, other people are still, always looking at themselves the same way I look at myself, and I could be better. Right. So, I think you do a great job with that. And I'm still super impressed with the follow-up. I think that's what I will take away and always remember. And we have a lot of agents. We have 800 agents in our company. I meet with agents every single day, but you stand out when it comes to that ability to follow up and to consistently do that. And I think that's a good testament, and, congratulations on all your successes.
Thank you. Thanks.
So before we start wrapping up the show, is there anything that you're looking to do this year, and like new initiatives or anything like that to put in place in your business, Tammy, or places you want to improve? I know you're talking about farming a new area, and that sounds like it's probably gonna be taking up a lot of your focus. But is there anything that you want to get into that you've got like on the horizon?
No, I can't say we do. No. So we're doing the door knocking. We're following up on our database. We've got them all getting their reports. We're just continually tweaking, right? Even I know I've got to put some effort into drip campaigns, for like when leads do come in and stuff like that. I've got to tweak what we've got, but yeah, no.
Well, that's not exciting. I was expecting a big answer.
Sorry, I got nothing.
I smile at it because I honestly think it's literally the right answer for Tammy. Because one of the things, again, I'll go back to, it's the consistency. It's the engine that's always running. It's the living the dream and living it the way she wants to live it. And it's and she's underselling the fact that she's implementing a really big income source, which is farming. If anyone is going to double their income when they're at where you're at, it's through leveraging. And I'm going to say a budget. I'm going to say money, because as much as you're out there today prospecting, I still believe that if you can put a good budget to that farm area, consistently remind them so that Tammy and Alona's name is in front of everyone at least twice a month for the next 3 years, you're going to dominate a farm area that has a long-term goal, and you're going to see your income double because of your farm area that you're implementing this year. So that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that's,
and
you know,
sorry, in line is like last year we implemented pop buys. We've never done them before, and we're very consistent with them. And we're our farm area is going to be getting 2 pop buys a year, like the people that we've talked in. So like I know Eryn says, pop buys are for, your tight, close sphere and your past clients and stuff like that. But we're opening it up to the people that have given, the 250 people that have given us their names. And, we're going to do one for Canada Day, and then around Christmas, we're going to do another thing, a pop by for those people. But we've implemented those in the last year. So Ilona and I partnered up last year. So, we're still tweaking things and implementing a lot of things. And, she comes with some really great ideas. And sometimes I'm a bit stubborn and it takes me a moment, but yeah.
I still think that's impressive. You're taking the core concept of sphere of influence and staying in touch and giving gifts and building relationship with your. What we do is we look at A, B, C, D type, relationships, and A's are advocates and people that give you referrals. B's are you've done business with. C's are contacts that know you, and then there's D's that don't know you. And we typically forget about the D's and say, well, they don't know me. It's harder to get business from them. You've literally taken the A concept of staying in touch and dropping by and giving gifts and applied that to don't knows. And those don't knows aren't going to be don't knows. They're going to be 250 people that know you now and actually appreciate the fact that you stop by and give a gift. And they're going to be A's. You're going to be turning that business, and that's where the magic is, So I was super impressed.
Well, yesterday I went door knocking, and and I forgot to. Usually I write down what door leads we already have in those areas, because I forgot on that street. And then door knock, and she goes, "I know you. I already get your report," and like that's gold, right? And then I went 2 doors down. I'm like, "You look familiar to me. Are you on my reports?" And she goes, "Yes, I am." So it's great that way, because they do get to see us on those reports and stuff. And then and the more signs we get in the area, the more people will know about us, and it'll cascade down, right? So
that I don't think you'll ever be I'm going to call it the ego broker or the ego salesperson.
No.
You're never going to be that person, because it doesn't matter how much I say, Tammy, you're doing it. You just not, well, I could do it better and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, wow, you need that confidence of knowing. And no, it's not the confidence. You have the confidence. You do to speak confidently. You're just never going to have that ego, which I also am impressed with.
Well, and the reason I'm in real estate is because I want to protect people. It's not about me and my side. I love the money I make, but it's how can I protect my people, right? Like they chose me, they become family, and I protect their money more than mine, right? It's there. I just want to protect them from all the stuff that can go wrong out there.
You were going to say something different, weren't you?
Oh, what? I edited my words.
I could tell. No, but I mean, Tammy, Eryn talks about you a lot, and he holds you to like in very high regard.
Thanks, Eryn.
I've caught that, quite a bit. I know you guys have a lot of conversations. But I feel like when Eryn writes the book of his life, you're definitely gonna have a solid chapter on how you changed his outlook on real estate. Because I know Aaron's had, everyone can be successful in different ways, right? And there's that thought, like, in the way that we always teach most people is the, I'm going to call it the Buffini style way of the sphere of influence, like relationship building bet. And it takes a lot to show Eryn that there's a slightly different way to take that approach. And you've done that.
We're so we're so similar, Eryn.
Well, this is amazing, because we Tammy,
Sorry,
you're not
Linus.
the only one that has shedded some of the light on that prospecting that we have a manager that started with us recently, and she also, it comes from the prospecting side of things, and she did a amazing session in her office last week, or I think it was this week, where she made 12 phone calls in front of everybody, which is, you know, nerve-wracking enough to make, and then in front of everybody. And she made her 12 calls, and she was using telelisting and, you know, doing it all the right way. And the 12th phone call was a seller lead that they said, yeah, come on over, we're looking at selling. So she was able to draw a name from the hat of the people in the room and give that lead away to the room. But I mean, that to me is like the best seminar ever. And I've done a lot of seminars. I'm like, wow, you just trumped all the seminars I've ever done. You literally showed how it's done and had the success of showing it works and gave a lead to somebody. And like, you can't have a trifecta like that. And
Yeah.
and those are the things that, you know, just again, every day you learn something new, and you're impressed by what people do. And yeah, again, congratulations to all your success.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks so much for agreeing to do this with us today, Tammy. It was a great conversation, and it was really a big pleasure to have you on. So this is where I'll start winding down the show. If you like the show, you can subscribe to us pretty much wherever you find your podcasts online. And please don't forget to leave a 5-star review on those sites because it really helps. You can check out our website at livingthedream.show, where you can check out and listen to any or all of our shows. Or you can head over to our YouTube channel at youtube.livingthedream.show to watch our podcast video streams on demand. Tammy, Eryn, thanks so much for hanging out today.
Thank you. Thank you.